and welcome to Meet the VIP. I'm Mike Sarnoff, and this being Friday, it is time for our friend Mary Michele.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Good morning.
I love those earrings. For those of you who are watching, or actually I should say listening, because if you're watching, you can see them, and if you're watching on a color TV, they're beautiful. They have the moon there, then they have the stars. I can't see what's in the middle, because I don't have my magnifying glass on or my binoculars.
Well, probably the sun, moon, and stars. So that's the nature.
Okay, so that's the sun.
Yeah.
We'll take phone calls at 241-1310. Anybody wants to talk to Mary Michele. The moon itself. What is the significance of the moon when it comes to astrology and where the moon is in different houses? Does the moon have a particular function? Does it do anything? Does it say anything?
The moon is extremely important. It rules our daily routines, and the moon rules the unconscious. It rules how you perceive your mother, not necessarily how she was, but how you experienced her as a small child. As we get older, it's a little harder to say exactly how it was that we felt about her at that time, because we didn't have thoughts that were as concrete, or as formulated as we do now. So now we might have a completely different view than we did as a child. Anyway, what the mother teaches us is very basic things like how to eat, how to sleep, how to, clean oneself. All of these rituals and patterns and habits. Habits are very important. This is one of the problems and good points of the moon, that you can develop habits that will or won't work. And once you've developed the habits, it's very, very difficult to lose them. Habits are things that, good habits are things like being able to get up every morning and eat just the right thing and exercise properly and so on and so forth. Bad habits are things like, wanting to go to McDonald's and have breakfast that might not exactly...
Fortunately, they're not open when I get up. We're going to take calls at 241-1310. We do have an open line right now, 241-1310, to talk to Mary Michele. Do you remember the game Paper, Scissors, Stone? Okay, you've got the moon, the stars, and the sun. Does one take precedent over the other in astrology?
In astrology, pretty much everything has its own place, as everything in life has its own place. Astrology is about understanding how everything interconnects. If you think about it, there just isn't anything that we can't do without that comes from nature. We may not always understand exactly how it works, but it has its place. Even the mosquitoes have their place. And the dragonflies have their...
Mosquitoes have their own place?
Of course they do, because they feed the frogs, and they feed, other animals that live in swamps and marshes and so on. And then the dragonflies have their place because they eat the mosquitoes. So everything is...
It's become a biology lesson here.
Well, but can you say one's more important? Which is more important, the mosquito or the dragonfly? Now, I would rather look at the dragonfly, but I think the mosquito is equally important.
You just blew my mind on this one. I'm still not... The moon, we talked about the mother, the sun, and the stars. The sun, again, particular function? The
sun is the largest body closest to the Earth.
Yeah.
And it because it is so large, it has the strongest impact. And in astrology, we say that the sun rules your will, your purpose for being, the reason why you are in the body, why you incarnated, why you decided to be, depending on how you want to look at it. Some people don't necessarily believe they decided to do it, that it just happened. But if you do choose to believe that you decided to come into the body and live this lifetime, then the sun is the purpose, the reason why you're here. And what you will do for most of your life is try to figure out how to manifest the energy of your sun sign. So that is why the sun sign is extremely important, but in a way, it's not as practical as the moon or or as, it doesn't have the other qualities that the other planets have, like Mercury with the mind. Mercury moves much faster than the Earth, as does Venus. So we have, not much faster, but a bit faster. And these planets, because of the fact that they are they move more quickly, they have different kinds of emphasis. Venus rules a lot of things in our lives. Venus is about our self-worth. Our self-worth relates to money, and the way that we make money increases our self-worth. Now, how you care about yourself and care about what you do is what you love. And if you love what you do, then you will be creative, and you will increase your self-worth, and you will make money.
Okay. Earlier today, we were doing some stuff about drive-in movies, and a lady called and said, I am not going to be able to call, but I will be listening. She was born on 12/2/56. And by the way, we are taking your calls at 241-1310. If you have a question for Mary Michele, 241-1310. Liz, 12/2/56. Her question was, she is currently in a relationship with someone who is about 11 years older than she is. She wants to know if this is going to lead to marriage. She said that the person she is in this relationship with is divorced. She wants to know if there's anything on the horizon in terms of marriage.
Is she, I didn't quite get it. Is she presently involved?
She's presently involved with this person. The way she put it to me was, I'm presently in a relationship with someone. He is divorced. He's 11 years or 12 years older than I am. I want to know if marriage is on the horizon for us. Or for me, is the way she put it.
There's a very significant transit that's going on in her chart. She was born at the new moon. She has the sun and the moon in the sign of Sagittarius, as well as Mercury and Saturn. So there's a lot of stuff in the sign of Sagittarius. It's not just the sun. So this influence of the sign of Sagittarius permeates her life in a lot of different ways. The ruler of Sagittarius is the planet Jupiter. Jupiter is the great benevolent one. He was the king of the gods, and he is considered a very lucky planet. So with all of these planets in the sign of Sagittarius, right now, the transiting Jupiter, where Jupiter is in the sky right now, is in the sign of Sagittarius. So this is lending a lot of goodwill and benevolence. Now, it won't. The thing is, right at the moment, it is retrograde, so it won't be going direct until the 4th of August. So after the 4th of August, I think would be a very, very good time to formulate any plans that she may have in terms of wanting to go ahead with this situation.
She didn't give me the date of the man she is in this relationship with, but she wanted to know if he was going to make a proposal to her. She wants to get married. She's not sure where he stands. That's why the question was phrased the way it was.
I think that it's a little hard to tell without looking at his chart, but I would venture to say that she probably shouldn't second-guess herself. If she senses, if her intuition is saying that this fellow has asked her to marry him, or if they have discussed it at all, and it feels like there's a strong possibility, then I would definitely go with it, because there's a strong indication that things will go in the direction that you would like them to go.
All right, we're taking calls from Mary Michele at 241-1310. Someone else called. We were talking about movies again, and they said, could an astrologer have known that Apollo 13, now there's that number 13, would an astrologer have known, this thing took off, I believe, on the, 2 days before, so it was the 11th of April, 1970. Would you have been able to have determined at that point that this flight was going to have as much problem as it did? Here we are, everybody's seeing this movie, they're loving it. Was that something that could be done? Was there something in the stars at that point?
It's not exactly my forte. There are people who work very strongly with events. These are mundane astrologers, and they look at historical things.
Mundane?
Mundane.
What's the difference between what you do and a mundane astrologer?
I do quite personality-oriented. I work with people, and this is working with events. You could get involved in a whole complicated scenario and look at all the different astronauts and what their charts were doing and all that kind of thing. But let's see, April 11th.
1970 was when it took off.
Mm-hmm. No, I can't really. The only thing that I can say about it is that there are a lot of planets in the sign of Taurus. Taurus is, it's ruled by Venus. It is a very grounded sign. It's a very earthy sign. So, I don't know, you could say that maybe it didn't want to get off the ground.
Well, it had been delayed, by the way.
Yeah. That's all I can say about it. There are 3 or 4 planets in Taurus, and there's not a particularly harmonious angle between the sun and the moon.
How do astrologers work with numerologists? I mean, the number 13, everybody is afraid. A lot of people are afraid of that number, particularly when it comes on a Friday.
Well, there are many answers to that. One answer that could be given is, very religious people might have differences of opinion, as we know. The Christians and the Jews and the Arabs and, the Muslims and the Buddhists and everybody. They might not all agree on certain things. But you will pretty much find this symbolism of 13 happening over and over again. In the Bible, there were 12 disciples. Mm-hmm. Who was the 13th person? These are the kind of things that might have been brought up because there might have been forms of disagreements between the Christians and the Jews. But then when you think of the fact that Christ was probably raised as a Jew, this is another question that perhaps people might have strong feelings about and not want to discuss or, get upset about it. Anyway, the ancient idea of 13, this also is something I think probably had to do with Christianity in the sense that they talked about during the course of our 365-day year, we have 12 months, but we have 13 full moons. The moon is a 29-and-a-half-day cycle, and it will go through 13 different signs throughout the year. So when the Christians came in, and other philosophies that had some areas of disagreement with astrology or with, nature religions, anything that had to do with observing nature, because man was supposed to have a certain amount of power over nature. The number 13 again was something that was brought up as something that perhaps belonged to a previous belief system, and there was superstition attached to it. And
all right, well, I guess I'm getting my answer here. On the phone with us now is Terry. Date of birth, April 21st, 1951. Terry is from Mount Kisco. Good morning to you.
Morning.
Are you watching or listening, by the way?
I am watching it.
You're watching. Okay, you're on with Mary Michele. Good morning to you.
Thanks. I am considering making a move, and I'm really torn between directions. And I was wondering if you could lend any insight into helping me make this choice.
April 21, 1951, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have the sun in the sign of Taurus. I'm not sure if you are, sometimes it shifts. You were born the first day of that. And the moon opposing it. So you were born at the full moon.
Wow.
You have Venus in Gemini and Mercury in Taurus. The polarity of this Taurus-Scorpio stuff that you have in your chart is kind of a tough one right at the moment. The sun is going into the sign of Leo next week, and this is not, it's going to make, trying to make these kind of decisions right now are going to be a little, do you have to make it right now?
No, this is not anything that's, urgent for me to make. It's just a projection that someplace I want to get to, and it doesn't have to happen now, but I'm just trying to get clear on my direction, but it's nothing immediate.
Right. I think that by the end of August, some of these things will come together. You might go through during the month of August, the end of July, August, you might go through a period where it's going to be quite intense in terms of emotionally trying to figure it out. And what you have to do is kind of go with the flow of that. I mean, even though it might be difficult and you might not enjoy sometimes how you're feeling about it, hopefully by my validating the fact that you are going through a bit of a tough time making this decision, you can be more intuitively secure and rational about the way that you, even the bad times you might be going through in trying to make this decision. But I really think by the end of August, September, it will come to a clarity. Would you want to do it? Would you actually want to move in September?
September's not good because I'm a teacher. And so, at some point I'm trying to send resumes to, particularly to areas, New England or somewhere out west. I'm considering now, which that's a new possibility for me. I was always very clear about trying to get up to New England, but for some reason now I'm feeling really drawn in another direction. So September's not a good move for me.
Right, no, but the thing is that I think what you can do right now is that you can send them out to both places. The nature of the sign of Taurus is it's a little difficult to have different ideas going in different directions. It's okay. You can have different ideas going in different directions. Send them out there and see what happens. I think that things will come back. You might have difficulty in feeling that it's all right to spread yourself out like that.
I'm having a hard time thinking that that's okay. I feel like I need clarity, but maybe it's not the issue.
You'll have clarity when it comes back, the end of August, September. Then you'll know and you'll feel better about it. But take that risk of you're stretching yourself by allowing yourself to not be as structured as you normally are.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing.
All right, thanks very much.
Okay, thank you for your call.
Bye.
We're going to be back with Mary Michele just a couple of seconds away. We have one open line at 241-1310. We will be back and we'll be talking to Karen, who is watching in Yorktown Heights, coming up just a couple of seconds away. This is Meet the VIP. I'm Mike Sarnoff with Mary Michele. For the best fuel oil service and burner installation, remember the name Marshall. Marshall Oil, offering fast 24-hour emergency service, convenient budget plans, and a large inventory of replacement parts. The Marshall family has been committed to serving your neighbors and local businesses for over 57 years. And they're ready to serve you with warm, safe oil heat. Now that the warm weather is here, Marshall Oil services and cleans your boilers to keep you comfortable year-round. Marshall Oil can keep you cool and refreshed all summer long with top-quality pool water at a price you can afford. Marshall's 6,000-gallon pool trucks are as clean as a whistle, and they deliver your water on time. For the lowest possible prices and fast, dependable service, call Marshall Oil, 764-5766. That's 764-5766. Marshall Oil, a name that stands for service. Hey, if you have a question about astrology, you can give us a call at 241-1310. You'll be on the air with Mary Michele.
Honey, we like to shop at the Manufacturers Outlet Center in Mount Kisco because of the great value we get for our money, right?
Right.
Well, this Thursday through Sunday is their sidewalk sales days, one of those special times during the year when we can practically walk away with summer clearance and special sales merchandise.
Let me guess. You want to go shopping at the Manufacturers Outlet Center this weekend?
Well, actually, I was hoping we could go on Thursday. Before all the good stuff is gone, you know me, sweetheart. I'm a smart shopper. Save, save, save.
Yeah. You're lucky they're so close to home. You know how I hate to drive. Okay, I tell you what, as long as I can get some clothes at Bass and new sneakers at Famous Footwear, I'm up for it.
Perfect. I can't wait to get a look at all the great outfits at the Casual Corner Outlet.
The Manufacturers Outlet Center in Mount Kisco is so close to home. Just take I-684 to exit 4 or the Sawmill Parkway to exit 37.
The Manufacturers Outlet Center in Mount Kisco.
Again, we're talking to Mary Michele on Meet the VIP. If you have a question for her, 241-1310, the number to call. And let's say good morning now to Karen, who is watching from Yorktown Heights. Date of birth, January 16th, 47.
Hi, Karen. Did you have a particular question?
Yes. My mother was recently admitted to a hospital, and I was wondering if there would be a way to look at my chart and be able to see how she's going to fare with this situation she currently came into health-wise.
Can I ask you to lower your TV just a little bit, please? We're getting a little feedback there. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You have the moon, which, represents the mother, in the sign of Scorpio. Has your mother been ill for some time? Hello?
Well, this particular situation has just been, discovered recently, although she does have, high blood pressure condition that she's had for a long time.
And is this condition related to the high blood pressure?
Possibly. It could be. It could be a possibility. It hasn't been diagnosed yet exactly as to what she has. They won't know till Monday after they did some testing.
Right. The moon in the sign of Scorpio, it hasn't been an easy time for Scorpio. So your perception of her dilemma with this, because it's your mother and it's not you, and it's how you relate to her and how you perceive her, has been that she has been going through a tough time for some time. It's a little hard, as you may realize, to without looking at her chart. I think the way that for you to handle this is to keep a certain consistency. You have the Sun in Capricorn and Mercury in Capricorn and Mars in Capricorn. So you are probably extremely good dealing with the doctors and the nurses and finding out exactly what it is that you need to know. And I think that that consistency is going to be the most important thing that you can do, and it will be something that your mother will rely on tremendously. So by you doing that, by you, just being silent, structured, and consistent, you're going to give her a tremendous amount of energy to help herself heal. So I can't say exactly whether she's going to get better or not, but I think your presence is going to be tremendously helpful to her. So just continue what you're doing, and it's rather like that idea in Alcoholics Anonymous, which I think applies to all of us. Take one step at a time. So just be very, very slow and consistent, and deal with the doctors and the nurses, and ask them the questions that you need to know, and be quite relentless about finding out what you need to know, because she will expect that.
Right.
So, I can't say exactly, but just continue. And, either way, everybody needs to do what they need to do in life. So if it's her choice, it's her choice. And just, you will help her make the choice by doing what you do best.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay, we have an open line at 241-1310 if you have a question for Mary Michele with astrology here at WVIP. It's 9:30. I've got to mention this note again. The current temperature is 75 degrees, and there's now going to be a severe thunderstorm watch in effect for the VIP area till about 8 o'clock this evening. There is a line coming in from Binghamton, this late word from the VIP Weather Department, and so we are aware of that. Getting back to this lady with her mother, how difficult is it when you looked at your chart? You said you didn't know her mother's date of birth. If you had that, would that have made any difference in the way you looked at the situation?
Well, I wanted to talk a little bit, to answer your question in a roundabout way, I wanted to talk a little bit today about the ancient physician Paracelsus. Paracelsus was born the year that Columbus came back in 1493, when he went back to Europe. And he was considered by many to be the father of modern medicine. Before Paracelsus, there were a lot of very strange ways in which people diagnosed
Okay, can I just interrupt? Sure. You're going to have to get back to this because we have Nancy on the phone. She's calling from her car phone.
Okay.
And let's try to get this. Nancy was born December 5th, 1939. Am I correct, Nancy?
Hi.
Okay, December 5th, 1939. You're on with Mary Michele.
Hi there. Are you there? Nancy?
Hello?
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 I'm here.
I am too.
Okay. Did you have a particular question? Nancy?
Okay, Nancy, are you in some sort of a valley there or something? I'm not sure. We can barely hear you. Could you try again, please? Okay, I apologize, Nancy. We're having a problem trying to pick you up. Are you there? No, okay. We're having a problem. Hopefully she will call back. Get back to...
Paracelsus.
I was going to say Perry-Ellis, but that's all right.
Well, anyway, Paracelsus's theory of medicine was somewhere in between homeopathic and allopathic medicine, as I understand it. I'm not a doctor, so I won't, I may make a few errors in this. But he worked with meeting like, which is what homeopathic medicine is about, and he worked with the way we use medicine today. And as I understand it, there's a shift going on in medicine, whereas before we depended very much on chemicals, and now it's going to be biological ways of developing medicine to meet diseases and so on. So in my limited understanding, it's like we're coming back to more of a homeopathic idea as well. Again. Anyway, Paracelsus was somebody that believed in astrology, but he was not someone that believed that it was completely right all the time. He believed that what astrology did was it gave you tendencies and theories, which I think is kind of the way I feel about it. It's not like things are going to be exact. So anyway, I just wanted to read something that he wrote about the human body. Aries rules the head, ears, eyes, and brain. Taurus rules the neck and throat, and the diseases of them, such as squeancy, hoarseness, and such. Gemini rules the arms, shoulders, and hands. Cancer rules the breast, paps, and upper belly. Leo rules the heart and blood. Virgo rules the guts and entrails. Libra rules the kidneys and the bladder. Scorpio rules the privy parts and causes French pox, which was syphilis. Sagittarius rules the thighs and hot fevers. Capricorn rules the knees and causes melancholy or depression. Aquarius rules the legs, black jaundice, lameness of the joints, and swellings. Pisces rules the feet and gout of those parts.
Now that we've had this medical lesson for today, we've got Paulette on the phone. Paulette was born September 11th, 1971. September 11th, 1971. Good morning, Paulette. You're watching in Somers, am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, good morning. You're on with Mary Michele.
Hi. I'm getting married in October to an Aquarius, and I've always heard that Aquariuses don't go good with Virgos. I was wondering your opinion on that.
Well, I don't think that it's something that doesn't work. You have September 11th. You have the the moon in the sign of Gemini, so that's an air sign. So that works, very harmoniously with his sun sign. It's an inconjunct. It's not a very, very strong, hard angle, but it is, there are things that are a little, it's different elements. When you think of the fact that Virgo is about the earth and Aquarius is about air, I know that the two have to exist harmoniously. We have air on the earth and so on, but it's not the easiest combination. Air, water, and earth are the easiest combination. But lots of times in life, the easiest combinations are the ones that we mess up because we take things too much for granted.
Right.
So, anyway, with the moon in Gemini, which is an air sign, you have this unconscious drive, and your routines and patterns and so on move quite harmoniously and support his sun, and his sun will in turn support your moon. You have other things in Virgo. You have Mercury in Virgo, and you have Venus in Virgo. Oh, and you have Mars. This is very good. Mars in the sign of Aquarius. So that has to do probably a lot with the attraction that you feel for each other.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see, Saturn in Gemini. The dilemma that you will face with him, probably more often than not, will be one of wanting to see both sides of things. You're with the moon and Saturn in the sign of Gemini, there is this ambivalence, and you will sometimes in your relationships with other people be like two different people, like twins. You will see things from opposite ends of the spectrum. So you have to allow yourself to try to stick with your